What's up, YouTube? Saki Wizard here with TeamDPlusGaming. I'm going to be talking to you about my Inzektor Deck profile, which I brought to locals this weekend. It went 4-1. It got top 8, and then won top 8, and then lost in top 4, so I got third place. I pulled a Bougie Yamato from the packs. I'll be going with my friend's Matt's deck profile for his Boujins, which I'm sure I'll get out there for you guys sometime soon. Anyway, let's get right into this. So, for those of you that don't know, every Inzektor here has the effect of, once per turn you can equip one Inzektor monster from your hand or grave to this card. So that's kind of just a general overview. Every Inzektor has that except for Gigamanus. So they basically just kind of equip each other from grave and from hand. And so to start out, you've got your Inzektor Dragonfly. You can equip it to him, and then when you send the equipped card, which is equipped to him in the grave, he gets a special summon Inzektor from the deck. He's your swarm capability. He's limited to 1 for a reason. He's really good with that. And then Hornet, again limited to 1. You typically use as equip card. You send him to grave as an equip to blow up a card. So he's your way out of everything in terms of blowing things up. Of course, not Macrocosmos because he can't go to grave, but he gets around a lot of things, and he's your way of popping cards. So you can just kind of run over because you don't have high attack in this deck. You really rely on Hornet to pop primarily. And then you've got Inzektor Gigamanus I'm running 1 of. You can equip him from your hand to an Inzektor by his own effect rather than the Inzektor effect. So if your Inzektor is Fiendish Chained, theoretically you can do that, or if it's Veilered, I guess primarily. You can equip Gigamanus, which makes its original attack 2400. And then when Gigamanus is sent to the grave as an equip, you get a special summon of an Inzektor from your grave. So you can actually pop him with Hornet with some combos, revive some stuff, and search. Like this deck does have a lot of OTKs. I'm sure you can look around for those. Revolving these cards, and then so your main card that you're really going to be searching everything for is Inzektor Centipede. When an equipped card is sent from him, equipped to him to the grave, he gets to search any Inzektor card from your deck to your hand. So that could be a sword, a spell card, or any of these guys. If you're missing pieces, like you can grab a Hornet, you can grab Dragonfly if you don't have him yet. So he's really good, and he's the beater kind of that you summon off of Dragonfly just to search more. And at 16, yeah, he's the biggest, like pretty much consistent one here. You've got 3 Ladybug. This guy, again, is more used as an equipped card, kind of like Hornet. You send this to the grave to target any monster on your field and increase its level by up to 2, so 1 or 2. And then again, all these effects, your Centipede and Dragonfly effects go off. So he's really good at that because he can send himself. Weak, but really good as an equip card. So then my last Inzektor is the Inzektor Hopper, and he's really just kind of the lone beater, really, that you can bring off of Dragonfly if you've gone through all your Centipedes. And at 17, yeah, he's the highest technical here. Again, he can equip just like the rest. Gigamanus is the only one that can equip. Yeah, so he can help you be as a target for Hornet. If you have a Hopper in the field, you can grab a Hornet and pop things. So that's it for the Inzektors. It's a relatively small engine. Next, you've got 2 Tour Guide from the Underworld. This guy's really good because this deck does need to stall to get its plays, and one of the best cards to do that is Zen Mains. And also, people like to banish your Hornet because it's hard to deal with. So Levier, bring it back, is really good. So that's kind of the main reason around that. And it's level 3, so it has a lot of synergy with this deck, as well as being dark. Next up, I've got the Summoner Monk Armageddon Knight engine. Now this is actually a really good thing for this deck that I've always liked. You go Summoner Monk, you pitch a spell card for its effect to summon a level 4 from the deck. You summon Armageddon Knight. Armageddon Knight's effect, you get to summon a dark monster from your deck to the graveyard. You send Hornet. Or if you already have Hornet, theoretically you can send like a Ladybug or something. And then you've got those 2 out in the field. You can overlay into a Ball of Chain, detach, and put Dragonfly, your other limited piece, on the top of your deck. So that's really a good way to get to your limited pieces right away on your first turn. I did it 100 times. Is really good at getting what you need really fast. And you can also go into other force with this if you don't need that one at the time. Like Crazy Box or Eradicator deck that target. So it's actually really good stuff in there. Next up, I've got 2 cards. It's a card, honestly, I didn't originally like it, but it's really good. I'm really liking it now. It's really good off of duality first turn. You duality, you search for a card. You can't special summon that turn anyway. So you set your back row, play card, draw 2. So you got a Pot of Greed at +1. So that's really good in this deck. And that's my preferred draw power because it's kind of guaranteed. And then your last monster, you got Dark Arm Dragon. You do have Grave Manipulation, and this guy's a boss, so you gotta run this deck. I want to make games with him. For the spells, you've got 3 Pot of Duality. It was a boost for this deck when it came back to 3 because you need to search for your pieces, and you're perfectly fine sitting on back row, and you're perfectly fine sitting on like maybe 1 vector, just kind of just chilling there like a centipede. So yeah, Pot of Duality is really good, almost a must at 3, I'd say. And then I've got 2 Inzektor Sword, Inzektor Caliber. This is an equip card, it gains an 800 attack, and then when it's sent to the grave, off of a face-up card, it gets a Inzektor card from your grave to your hand. So something I like to do, if I'm in kind of a bad position, I can equip this to a monster, and then know when my monster dies, I can just get it back to my hand to use it next turn. So that's a really good card in this deck. It can get cloggy at 3 though. So, Allure of Darkness. I like this card largely because you do have spare darks. Summoner Monks, Armageddon Knight, you know, if you have your grave set up, Ladybug, you don't always need 3. You don't need 3. It's just you draw that you want to draw into it, is why you run 3. So if you've got one in your grave already, you don't need Allure for your draw power. Next up, you got your obvious Foolish Burial. Just send Hornet, Ladybug to grave. Book of Moon, it's really good. Dark Hole, 2 MST, just for back row hate, because they do like back row hate on this deck. Phoenix Chain was really, really common this last weekend, so it's good to pop that preemptively before you even Hornet. So for traps, I've got 2 Phoenix Chain. This is a really good card in this format. I think it's our best trap at 3 by a long shot. And it just stops a lot of effects, a lot of good stuff. You can't Phoenix Chain to vanilla though. You can't. That is notable against the Blue Eyes deck, which kind of emerged this weekend. 2D Prison. I like this card better than Mirror Force right now, just because it's a better spot-on destruction effect. A good way to get rid of problem monsters. Cards like Fire King Avatar Runix, cards like Stardust Dragon, Dracosac. You know, stuff that Mirror Force doesn't really touch. I mean, Mirror Force hits more cards, but it doesn't banish, and it destroys. So a lot of cards get around that. I prefer the 2D Prisons. 2 Threatening Roar. This card is actually really, really good in the deck. You'd think, you know, it doesn't really destroy it. How's it good? But if you play this card, you're protecting your Inzektors. You can just pop the cards that you need to deal with on your turn with Hornet. So if you keep your monsters alive, you know, you're keeping them on the field so that they can Hornet pop things. Threatening Roar is really good, and you always feel safe with 1 back there. And for the 1-ofs, you've got your Bottomless, you've got your Torrential, you've got your Compulse. You know, all the ones that are really good. And then I'm running 1 Mirror Force, and then 1 Dark Illusion. I never pulled this thing off because it always got hit, I swear. But it's really good. Every time a dark monster, or whenever a dark monster is targeted by a spell, trap, or effect monster effect, you get a negate and destroy. And it's a counter trap, so it's supposed to be 3. It's a really good card. Veiler, your Centipede or Veiler or anything, you can negate. Phoenix Chain, you can negate. You know, Deep Prison, like you can negate a lot of things with Dark Illusion. I don't know, just never drew it at the right time this weekend. It's still a good card. Alright, so on to the extra. So I'm running a lot of rank 3s here. The Zen Mains and the Leviathan, or Levier. I already explained those 2. Really good cards. And for the other 3, you've got Giga Brilliant, Leviathan Dragon, and Acid Golem. You know, general rank 3 stuff because you have a lot of level 3s in the deck. Don't use these 3 as often, but I mean, if you're going for OTKs, Leviathan Dragon is actually a really good card for that. And then for 4s, I've got Cowboy, the burn for game, and getting up to 3,000 is always nice. Photon Babel Operative, which is, again, utility card. Of all the chains I already mentioned. And then Crazy Box, your Deck Dev and Eradicator target, and also it's really good against Skill Drain, because then he can attack with 3,000. That's kind of an overlooked part about it. It's really good. And then I'm running a few rank 5s. Inzektor Deck is a really good card. He's really good spot kind of removal. You can target a monster your opponent controls and then equip it to him, and he gains half the attack. Excuse me. And you can also power him up with Giga Manus. You can power up his sword, because he is an Inzektor, and he can get to absurd levels with also having a spot removal effect. So he's really good at level 5, rank 5. Next you have Shark Fortress. To me, a really underrated XYZ because he can attack twice with this effect, so he's really good with OTKs. Then you got your Volcasaurus, Detach Burn, and then overlay Gaia Dragon. It's just too good to play. You got Tyrus and Adrius. Just some of the best rank 5s in the game. And then Gaia Dragon to overlay on top of those. So that is the extra deck. Now I'm going to go into the side deck and kind of what I liked. So I sided 2 Maxi. Honestly, this wasn't very useful this weekend. I don't think I sided it in. It's only really good against dragons and mermaids. Other than that, I don't like it in the main very much. I've got card for draw power, and it's a dead card in some matchups. And it's not good to have that in your hand. Actually, a Prohibition, really good against, just a lot of specific decks, like, say, Bujin Yamato. Excuse me, got a cough. Or, say, Garunix, or Blue Eyes, or, a lot of good cards you can hit with this, decks that rely on one card, like, primarily. So I have a third MST on the side just for heavy back row, just because you do want to get rid of the back row before Hornet comes out, just so you can actually get your effects off. Because Fiendish Chain happened so many times this weekend. System down for any machine matchups, and it wasn't useful for me, but it's a good card to have. Defissure and Soul Drain for the Graveyard Reliant decks. These are really good against Mermails. And Defissure actually works really well in this deck, surprisingly, because when Inzektors are sent, when equipped Inzektor is sent from the field to the grave, it doesn't get banished because it's sent as a spell. And Defissure only sells monsters, so it just goes to the grave instead. So you can, reuse Hornet that way. Next up, you got 2 Rivalry of the Warlords. This card is probably the MVP out of my side deck. It's really good against the new Blue Eyes deck because if you flip this, you target Maiden, or they've already have Maiden on the field. You can target Maiden, you can attack Maiden with anything, and she can't get her effect because you can't summon a dragon when you've got a spellcaster on the field already. So it's really, really good, and it totally shut them down when I used it, and it's also, of course, really good against Constellars. I used it against, so they can't make a Pleiades, they really have no way of doing that. So, yeah, really good. And Evil Swarm. Didn't face them, but it's good against them. And then you got Karma Cut and Crevice for the different dimension. Again, banishment cards. Cards that get rid of Garunix, like Stardust Dragon, Stardust Assault mode. Because, cards like that in the grave are really devastating at times. And you just have to have a way to deal with them. Because Stardust Dragon Assault mode is one of those cards that you can't deal with unless you have banishment. I've always thought banishment has a good place in the side deck. And it's scary to me if you don't side. Because of those kind of decks. And then the opposite way, Imperial Iron Wall. This card says cards can't be banished. So, cards people love to side in Macrocosmos. They love to side in Defissure and cards like Crevice and Karma Cut, DD Crow. A lot of stuff against this because they want to hit your Hornet. Wherever he went. I don't know. If you flip this on them, they can't banish a Hornet. And that's great because they try to all the time. And it's also, of course, really good against Dragon. So it has kind of a double use there, which is really nice. And then I got the 2 viruses, Deck Dev, Eradicator. Deck Dev your targets. You've got Centipede when he's got equips, Hornet when he's got equips. And then, of course, both have crazy boxes targets. So you can go into that one if you want. Maybe you've got your Armageddon Knight, Summoner Monk, Hornet, or Hopper, I mean. So anyway, that is all of my deck here. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you like, comment, subscribe, as always, TeamDPlusGaming signing out.